Oh my gosh, I'm so excited right now. I just literally walked down here to the river to look for tracks, and this is what I found. Look at this huge long drag mark right here. And the tracks next to it, at first I thought, well, hey, there was a dog, and the dog was dragging something. But then I looked closer and I realized these are mountain lion tracks, and it is dragging something. Now, are there one or two? Oh boy. Okay, so here's what's really exciting. So just standing here, I am standing on one of the trails, and there are two other trails here. There are 3 mountain lions here. So here's the trail of one right here. Okay, that's one. Right here is the second one. There's the drag mark, and here is the third one. Now all 3 of these seem to be helping drag this animal. Whatever this is, it's probably a deer. Because, there are a bunch of deer tracks down here, and deer are the prey that are big enough for mountain lions here. So this is really super exciting. There are 3 mountain lions here, and they have prey. Now, direction of travel is this direction, so it's dragging it that way on the river bar. I want to go see where it goes. Probably up here into the brush. The interesting thing is that this is the only place where there's any mud. So these tracks wouldn't have shown up if they hadn't dragged this prey right across here. There's a turkey track going across the trail. So this is probably aged at least maybe 24 hours. I don't know. The turkeys are down here every day. But I'm going to get on the side of it. I don't want to step on these. These are beautiful. Wow, this is really exciting. I mean, finding one trail of a mountain lion dragging prey is fantastic. But 3? That is sweet. So this is like really exciting. So as a tracker, this is like one of those things that makes you do the happy tracker dance and get all excited. So again, mountain lion track with claws. Note the sharp, thin nature of those claws. And the same here, very sharp, thin claws. In the drag mark, there's a bit of fur right here. Looks like deer fur. Whoops. Well, I can't pick it up. But anyway, a bit of fur snag there. And there is a trail going across here from, it looks like our friend the striped skunk went across this trail. And, but there are 3 drag marks here. Now this mountain lion track is the first one I saw, and I thought it was a dog from a distance because I saw these claws. But if you look at the sharpness of those claws, they're thin, they're sharp, they're digging into the soil. This is what an actual mountain lion track looks like when it does have its claws extended, instead of being like a dog whose tracks can easily be confused for those of a mountain lion. So as the prey was dragged, it looks like this may have been the hoofs that were dragging over here. See how they're just little thinner lines that dragged? And this is the larger body of the deer that was being dragged. Now it looks like there were 2 mountain lions involved in the dragging of this deer. Probably a family hunting together, and for some reason the cubs are helping move the prey. So I'm going to go backwards first, because of course they're probably still on the carcass, but with 3 of them they may have consumed most of it by now. But this is just amazing. Look at that. They had to dig in order to get traction to move the carcass of a deer. These mountain lions were digging in. These are just fantastic. Look at how much the soil... See, in these tracks, what's interesting is the soil was pushed back. That indicates a lot of force was applied this direction. The toes dug in, they scooped out the soil. A lot of force. So, a deer is a heavy animal for one mountain lion. 3 of them carrying it, that's kind of like teamwork. It's pretty cool. So, let's go backwards. I don't think that it's going to be great beyond this point because of the fact that we're losing the mud. Let's skip over to here. So here's the drag mark. So standing on the trail, you can actually see the drag mark. It goes like this. And then they went over to the mud, which was really neat. If they had just stayed on this gravel, I might have missed it. I would have seen this, but I would have said, what the heck is that? So right here in the gravel, there's a mountain lion track. This is pretty amazing. So, oh, look at that. There's my track from a few days ago, and here's the mountain lion track on top of it. Notice all this dirt pushed backwards. That's caused by the force as the animal dug in. So what it was doing was pushing backwards with its feet, and it kicked up some of that dirt. That's how that was made. Beautiful mountain lion track. Looks like a right foot, might be a hind. I can't tell without getting a little closer and doing more examination, but I want to see this before the daylight is gone. So from here, what I see is this mark right there. You can see there's a color change, and that color change is because of the drag mark. And it comes right over here. Here's where a hoof was dragged. Here's the drag mark itself, and within the drag mark you can see the fur from the prey, which is indeed a deer. There's the deer fur. Now, deer fur will fold. Let me do this in close-up so you can see it. So here's one piece of the deer fur, and I folded it over so you can see how it holds the fold really well, because it is hollow, and these hairs help insulate the deer because they are hollow, but the little crimp stays in there pretty well in the deer hair. Oops, I lost the focus, but anyway, you get the idea. Okay, I'm going to pick this up over here again, and notice that we are following this clear drag mark right here. Seems like the angle at which I look at it, the camera picks it up a little bit better. I'm right on top of it here. So what the drag mark consists of is places where the prey was dragged through. Fur is knocked off on all of these rocks. The rocks have been dislodged. You can see the bottoms of the rocks where the dirt is. These rocks were sitting this way with that edge down in the dirt. So that's what is causing this discoloration that we're following. So it goes right through here. And I'm doing this backwards first because I want them to hear me if they are still on the carcass. I want them to know there's a human around, so I'm making it nice and loud. And then I'm going to go forward and see what I can find. 3 mountain lions, I probably don't want to mess with them. So here's our drag mark, going like this. There seems to be a trail right there from one of the lions. So in this case, I'm not technically, I guess I am technically trailing it. I'm following it backwards, backtrailing it. So can you see it from here? Clear drag mark right towards that piece of debris right there. I'm standing right on top of it to give you the best possible view of it. And I want to see if I can find where this happened. Who knows? I may not. Distraction here. So here's the other mountain lion is up on the bank right here. And this one looks like a young one because look at the narrowness of this hind track here. Let me there. So there's 2 front and hind tracks. That might be one of the young ones. So it was up on the bank. The other 2 were out here dragging the carcass of the deer. So here's your mark. Right there. This is just really amazing. I'm so excited. I don't know if you can tell. Here they went through the mud. Ooh. This is amazing. There's so many good tracks down here. Look at these mountain lion tracks. And this one got dragged over. Look at that. So here's a right front mountain lion track. Toe number 3, leading toe. The large, wide metacarpal pad. But notice that it got dragged over by the carcass. See how this mud was dragged into it and there's striations? So that might have been the one that was up on the bank. It was probably ahead of the other 2 when they were dragging the carcass. Here are bunches of deer fur left in the drag mark. And here's another mountain lion track right there. I'm doing this live, so you're getting my reaction to this thing. So, looks like the drag mark goes that way. I don't know if I'll actually be able to find the kill site if it goes up on that bank. If I can find the carcass and they're not there, maybe I'll set up a trail camera. but most likely they're either there or nearby, because they will hang out until they've completely finished feeding on the carcass. So it goes through here. We're getting into thicker gravel, but again, you can still see the disturbance that indicates where this drag is, the drag mark. See these rocks knocked out of their sockets? Right, there's the socket. Here's where the rock was. Look at that. Those are striations on the rock from the fur. See that? That's where the deer's fur dragged across that rock. Over here, you have fur snagged on the rocks. Cool, huh? So you can actually look at micro signs to follow this drag mark. Looks like they're not going up the bank here. Okay, trail goes this way. I just want to look over here. Look at this. 2 mountain lion trails side by side here. So did they walk here before they caught the deer, or was there just one dragging it until this point? So here's one trail here, and a trail here. There's also a skunk going. That's a gray squirrel and a striped skunk. But look at that, side by side, 2 mountain lion trails, right there. Woo! That's exciting stuff. Wow. So this one, I'm trying to determine if it went on the log or not, because it was here, and then here's the log. Did it walk on the log? One of them was over here at least. Oh no, they went around it. Trying to find the track in between. Huh, interesting. Well, nobody appears to have scratched the log, so that's good. I don't see that in here. But there are 2 of them over there. And the drag mark is over here. So let's follow the drag mark. Because at this point, apparently 1 lion was dragging and not 2, because there's this mark here, and there are 2 trails here. Huh. It may have jumped up on that log. This guy, because there's this guy here, and there's this one here, and then it ends there. This one may have gone up on the log, but hard to tell for sure. That's a nice one right there. Where's my ruler? I'm going to show you kind of the overall view. Track. There you go. Beautiful right mountain lion track. Looks like a right hind, and there's the right front. And there's the second cat right there. So 2 right here. Alright, I had to stop and take some still pictures. I gotta change the battery, hang on. Okay, I had to change the battery. So I don't know if you guys remember, but I had a video from December, I think it was, where there were 3 mountain lions in a group all together on the river bar, and that was near here. And I'm assuming it's a family still hunting together. Now here comes the trail. Right here, there's a slide mark where the carcass was slid out through here. And some nice splayed mountain lion tracks in here. Right here's a big one, splayed out. They're not usually that wide, but the toes are spread. Toe 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Spread out. Here's the palm pad right there, really big. That is a front foot. Here's another one. There's another one there. So, wow, these are beautiful. Look right here. Here's one showing some force. Those toes were pushed backwards, and you see a claw mark right there where the lion was pulling this carcass out of here. And they go right around here through the mud. I'm going to try to do it. That mud looks a little deep. They sunk into it. I hate to mess this up. I'm going to get some still pictures before I mess it up. Okay, here's another foot, another track here that the carcass was dragged over, and it almost obliterated the track. There was a toe here, toe there, there, and there. This was the palm pad. The carcass was dragged over it, dumping all of this sand into the track and obliterating or almost wiping out these toes here. I can open them back up, take the sand out, and there's the toes. So that's pretty cool. They went around this way, and I can go around the other way, but I kind of want to follow this. So I'm going to risk stepping on all these tracks. There's a track there and here. Ooh, look at those toes right there. This guy, look at that. Okay, here he stepped on this branch. See how there's an imprint right there from the branch? So the mountain lion stepped on it. Here's the claws right there on this toe. Notice how those claws are on a higher plane than the base of the toe. I'm putting my finger in there all the way in. So there's two beauties right there, and then it comes from over here. Looks like, okay, I don't want to mess up the tracks. There we go. Okay, so there's a smaller one here. There's this guy that sunk really deeply into the mud. Now, why would that be? Probably because that's the one carrying the carcass. So this guy doesn't have a load. Its tracks were here. Looks like they got a little dragged over by the carcass. This one is the one doing the carrying of the carcass. Look at the force in there. So the claws dug in a little bit for traction. The toes hit the ground, pushed backwards, pushing all this mud out of the track. Same up here, pushing down and backwards to carry this heavy deer. Deer can weigh over 100 pounds, so imagine carrying that in your teeth and only having your teeth to carry it. So they don't have thumbs, they don't have a way of picking things up. So these are just beautiful tracks right here. Claw marks in the wall right here above the track, higher than the plane of the toes. And same thing there. Look at the striations in there from the fur on the foot. And right here you can see the 3 lobes on the trailing edge of that pad and how it comes to a relatively flat peak there. That's the hind. That's the front with the wider angle on the leading edge. So they came through here. And it looks like through there, but I'm debating whether they came off that hillside. Fun. So, okay, I'm just going to kind of step on these tracks, unfortunately. Okay, yeah, they did come through here. Ooh, look at this. Came right through here. Here's a deer track. Oh, this might be where it happened. Let's see, that's a relatively deep deer track right there. There is a mountain lion track here going that way. And then there's this guy dragging here. But was the deer here and they hit it? So there is a deer track here all splayed out, which happens when the deer have weight on them or are running. And then the drag mark is over it. But you can see right here something happened. So this might be where it happened. This is all torn up in here. Let's see. Was this just from dragging? Or was this where they killed the deer? All 3 of them came together right here. I don't see it leaving here. You know what I mean? I don't see this track going out. So I'm not going to step on it. But right here, the vegetation has all been thrashed. This has been knocked down. That has been knocked off the cliffside here. So possibly the deer was up here on this hillside when it got hit. Because you can see some of the grass knocked down in the direction of travel towards me. Right there. And we saw this mountain lion trail coming from up on this hillside here. So this is probably where it all began, where the deer got hit. Let's see. Yeah, there's some smudges on this, and this has been knocked down. It rained last week, so this is all recent sign. This is smoothed over. Right here, we've got this right here. And then right here, where the knockdown vegetation is, and the grass bent towards me, there's this right here. A smudge from a smooth foot. So I believe this is where it happened. So we saw those deer tracks over there that had weight on them, and it looks like this is where it happened. So here's another mountain lion track which goes right with this one here. So it came down off this hillside. They were probably waiting here. They knew the deer were around, and the deer will come out every evening out of this brush to go feed. They'll go down to get some water, drink at the river, and I think this is where they hit it. So everything here has been thrashed. And some of these plants have been pulled up. Here's another mountain lion track right there. So this may be where the second one was. Look right here. whoops, right there where that's all torn up. And this is all torn up right there and right here by my foot. And this looks like the deer right here. So I think that deer got hit as it was coming down this hillside, and it tumbled down here, and this is where they killed it. But notice how all these, this is called horsetail or equisetum, this plant, how they've all been flattened. And this is probably where the struggle happened, where they subdued the deer and killed it, because this is where the drag mark begins. It doesn't go beyond this point. Nothing down there. There's no river bar down there. There's mud over here. And there is no indication down there of any drag marks. So this is where it happened. They hit that deer right up here in this little corner, kind of an enclosed space almost, because there's vegetation over here, vegetation over there. They had a place to have cover up here where they could wait for the deer to get close enough, and when it got close enough, boom, they hit it. And then this is where it ended up getting killed, right here. So here's where it began, and let's go the other direction on this trail and see what we can find. I wanted to point out something here. This is called transfer. So when sand, mud, whatever substrate you're in is transferred onto the top of the vegetation, it's called transfer, and it is usually from your feet, but in this case looks like the carcass, where the deer got killed. This is where a bunch of sand got transferred on top of the plants, and the plants essentially got flattened in here. So we're going to go the other direction. This is where the deer met its demise, and then this is where it was dragged out of here, and it looks like initially by one mountain lion doing the dragging, and then when they got out on the open river bar, the two kittens got involved and decided to help mom carry the carcass. So she's carrying up to here. I think this is the adult because the track is larger than that of the cub, kitten cub. And these deeper ones are hers because she's doing the carrying of the carcass. And then all three of them are going to get involved further down the river bar. That this is where it began. Unfortunately, I put a big old footprint right in the middle of it. I didn't mean to, but had to get in here somehow. Okay. So, Mama Mountain Lion has the deer. She's dragging it this way. Her two cubs take a little detour around the log. She goes straight down the river bar here, still dragging that carcass. Kind of fun. So from here, it is still, the drag mark is still evident in the different color of the substrate. A lot of that has to do with the drying of the sand. So it's wet for the most part, and then where she dragged that carcass, it's going to turn up the rocks, and it's going to do things like this, where the wet sand, the wet carcass, is going to leave marks of mud on the rocks. You can see the striations in that from the fur, and even snagged fur on some of them like that. So this is where it, and notice that it's snagged on this side of the rock because the carcass was dragged that direction, sloughing off the fur on that side. So here we go. Now from here, it goes boom, 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 boom. Kind of eager to see where this ends up, in a way. I don't want to encounter 3 mountain lions, but I'd love to see the carcass if they've abandoned it. So I don't need to, I would love to put a trail camera on it. So can you see it from here? Pretty obvious, isn't it? This direction, that trail is a lot more obvious than it was the other direction, that's for sure. One of the kittens was off to the side here to my right. I'm not going to go see that, but here makes a little turn that way. Now I don't know why they went around this branch. They didn't have to. They could have gone under it, but they went around it. trying to keep it in the center of your view on the camera so you can see where it is. Okay, here you can begin to see in the clearer substrate, you can begin to see some of the hoof drag marks. I gotta come back here and make castings of some of these tracks. Okay, here's where I first encountered it. Okay, I wanted to stop and take some still pictures of those beautiful tracks because they're just fantastic, and if they get walked on tonight, I really don't want to lose them. So I want to get some pictures of them, and that's why I stopped the video briefly. So from this point, I have not followed it forward. So this is all new trail here, and we're still on that same drag mark. Wow, look at that track. Woo! Trackers get a little distracted. Look at the force here, digging in, really splaying those toes. All of the claws are very sharp, very thin, pointed out in different directions as the mountain lion. What it did is it gripped the soil and got traction and pushed off to give itself some forward motion, and that's what you're seeing in that track right there. You got the soil pulled out of pushed out of the track backwards due to the force. It's carrying a heavy load. So, looks like heading up here into this not so good stuff. Woo! Smells like a fish carcass down here. There are, of course, dead salmon down here. When I came down here, I was hoping to find tracks of eagles, because the eagles have been down here eating salmon, and I found this instead, which is way better. So, looks like a change of direction happened here because it goes that direction. So, for whatever reason, they paused here. Why, I don't know. Look at all the fur from the prey right here. I'm going to take a few still pictures. Okay, so it's getting to be too dark out here. Anyway, one of these tracks looked like it was going the other way, but I don't think it is. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. Look at the toes pointing. Oh. Nope, I'm wrong. There was a leaf over it. Pull the mud out of that toe, and it's actually still going the same direction. So, for some reason, they took a pause right here, maybe to rest, maybe to adjust their grip on the carcass, and then they went up towards the brush. Now, they're going to try to find a place where it's relatively private, where they can consume this thing and hang out and not be disturbed for a few days. Of course, here comes this big old human, la-da-da, wandering around. So, in the leaf litter, you can see how the carcass was moved. There's smudges here where the weight of the carcass was on the ground. It was dragged. See, this is a heavy deer. They're not picking it all the way up. Kind of hard for them to do, it looks like. So, are they going up into the brush? Huh. Right here. Drag marks, just a lot of disturbance in here. So, looks like, did they go left or right? Well, there's sign going this way, but it's not great. Way more sign going that way, but that goes right to where I live. Why would they go there? No. Let me go this way just to see. I want to rule this out. See, you have this stuff kicked up on top of the leaf right here. And, you know, there may be another place where they stopped for a minute. Yeah, they did. There's some plucked fur here. So, it looks like they paused right here for a moment and plucked some fur. So here's a bunch of deer fur in here. And here, look at all these clumps of fur. That's all from the prey. So, before they feed on it, they will pluck the fur. And this guy got plucked. Mountain lions are able to use their raspy tongue to remove the fur of their prey. So, did they go this way? Kind of hope not. I want to check this other direction first. There is a lot of disturbance here, but I think this is just because they stopped right here and plucked it a little bit. Wandered around. I don't see a drag mark leaving here, and I'm kind of reluctant. I don't want it to go that other way. I don't want it to go towards my house. Huh. But it would appear But that's where it goes. Darn it. Okay, we're going that way. I need to get some pictures first of the sign down here before I leave the river bar, because it looks like they're going up to the brush. Okay, so I think this was just a pause down here. Did a little plucking. Probably getting hungry and ready to eat that deer. That's why they stopped here, to pull some of the fur off of it. 3 mountain lions plus 1 deer went through here, it looks like. So, ow, it's a little steep in here. There we go. Right up there. And here's some fur right here from the prey. So it confirms I'm on the right trail. And here's the heavier tracks of the animal that's carrying this deer. Oh, there it is. Okay, so they're not here right now, but they're going to be back. Huh. Alright. So, damn. Cool. Alright, so before I approach this, I want to show you what I'm looking at here. So, here is where they indeed did the feeding. Plucked a bunch of fur from the carcass right here, and then buried it. There's our deer. It's under that pile of sticks. So, they will return, and doggone it if I don't want to put a camera on this. Huh, okay. Well, I want to do this real quick before the daylight fades, because they're going to come back and feed on this. They might move it now that I've found it, but the deer is buried under here. And see how all of this debris from probably 12 feet around this carcass has been scooped into this pile. This is where the deer is buried. They're going to come back and they're going to feed on it probably tonight. And they're probably not far away, which is a little weird. But look at the amount of plucked fur in here. So before they can feed, they have to remove the fur from the prey. That's what they did. Camera lens is fogging up a little bit, unfortunately, but I hope you can still see. There's a bunch of fur. There are flattened areas here. So a lot of activity happened right here. And this is where that carcass got buried. So you just see the amount of work that they did to bury this thing here. And it looks like someone exited that way. They pulled in some leaves from there. They pulled the leaves and vegetation all the way around it to bury the carcass. Haha, they fooled me. Okay, it's not buried under here anymore. They've moved it. Probably because I've been out and about and active today. And I was up there and they probably moved it because of me. So, is this the pile? Or is it the one to my left? This doesn't look too disturbed. The area to my left looks like the most action. So I'm going to go that way. I just looked in that pile and it's not in there. So I'm not setting up a trail camera there, obviously. Ah, there's a branch in my way. Okay, I need to go this direction because that's where it went. Okay, I got through the branches. So, which way did they take it? Into the brush, probably. Darn it. I was sure hoping I had a good location for a trail camera, but I don't think so. They went this way. Right through here. You can see drag marks in here. And all the way over to there. Looks like an area has been cleared over there. Through these berries. Now watch, they jump out at me. Ow! Trying to get through the berries. Ouch. Okay. So, these are deer trails in here. Really well used deer trails. And right here is a sign that I'm still on the right trail. That looks like the rumen of the deer that they just fed on. So, they do not eat the rumen. The rumen is the contents of the stomach of the deer, and it looks like this. So, see how it's kind of grassy? It's just a mass of digested grass. This is the rumen. That's what's inside a deer's stomach. Big, huh? That's a 3-inch ruler, so you can see how big that is. But mountain lions don't eat that. They're not vegetarians. They don't want to eat that stuff. Okay, so I got through the berries. That berry thicket was a mess. Kind of tough to get through. So, where did they go? After the rumen, not really sure. There's a drag mark through here. Notice how all this is called periwinkle, this plant. And over here, it's not exhibiting any signs. It's straight up and down, as they're supposed to grow. Right here is a drag mark. So somebody went through here and broke off some of these branches. See that right here? See these knocked down? So they went through here. Probably gonna get fleas going through here. Deer have a lot of fleas, so that carcass is probably gonna be full of fleas. So I'm still on that drag mark. Only it's a little bit different in here, because in here it's vegetation. Oops. And right there. There's a mark here, but this is that's a deer trail. And to the right is also a deer trail, so this is our puma's drag mark here. Oh, right through more vegetation. Okay, I need to whack some berries out of the way, just a minute. Okay, so the drag mark goes through here. And I'm losing daylight, doggone it. Whoop. The amount of noise I'm making, scaring them off. Oh, they went through poison oak. Darn it. Okay. I need to not touch the poison oak. Jeez. I'm gonna end up with poison oak doing this. So they went through here. See all the dragged grasses, dragged in the direction of travel, which is straightforward there. I'm keeping an eye on both sides, just to make sure I'm not walking into a mountain lion ambush here. So, looks like 2 trail options here. Which one did they take? I'm losing the darn daylight now. Huh. This one looks more recent than that one. That looks like a deer trail right here. This looks a little more recent. Huh, was this it? I just want to make sure they didn't go the other way. This is the fun part when you're following it and you get into all this brush. It gets a lot harder. So, drag marks through the grass here look a little fresher than that deer trail to my left. Let's see if this is it. Oh, I think that is, look. I think I see a leg. Sorry, the camera lens is fogging up a little bit. It's got some moisture inside. Okay. This is going to be an interesting placement. Oh no! That is all poison oak! Yeesh. Crud. Alright, I'm going for it. I'm already in here. So here is the carcass. Yep. Okay, here is the drag mark. And there's what's left of that deer. Not much. So, hardly anything left. They have finished feeding on it. There's the legs. And here is some internal organs right there that were left behind. And so they did apparently stash it back there, and they must have moved it over to here to finish it. Probably because of me being around. There's what's left, just the legs. And a few more legs over there. A little bit of meat, but yeah, they've pretty much finished this off. There is a backbone. There is the hip bones. What are they? Innominate bones, I think. There's a leg and another leg. These are the hind legs right here. Some fur and matted down vegetation around it. Go over here, and here is the rest of it. Okay, here's the front leg. Here's the cranium. Not much left. And the mandible. Very little left to that. And another part of the backbone. And some fur. I don't know where the other leg is. Probably down here. Also some matted vegetation going that direction. So this is it. This is where that deer ended up. And that's all that's left. 3 mountain lions really can munch a deer. There is hardly anything here for them to eat now. Now it's going to be up to the scavengers, and I don't think the mountain lions will return to this carcass anymore because there's nothing here. They're gone. I could put a trail camera here, but it's going to be a tough placement because there's no trees to put it on. And yeah, they're not coming back. They're done. So let's see where this goes. Here is. There's a scapula right there. Not much meat left on it. That is the shoulder bone, the scapula. Let me see. I'm trying to get under this tree. I gotta take my pack off. I am not as short as a mountain lion. Can't get under there. And just some more flattened ground out here. Probably where they rested in between bouts of feeding. Sure didn't take them long to finish that off, though. They were hungry. 3 mountain lions consumed an entire deer. Here's a resting bed right here. Look at that. There you go. One of the places where one of the mountain lions napped. Possibly 2 of them. There's a second one right there. So, see, they are very close to that carcass. This was where they slept. Once they have a prey animal, they don't want to leave it because the scavengers will come and get it. And once the scavengers get to it, then, you know, they lose all the work that they did. And you saw how much work they did to get down here with their prey. So, they don't want to lose that. So, this one and this looks like the places where they slept while they were hanging out nearby, feeding on their carcasses of deer. I'm going to get some still pictures now. In conclusion, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed following that entire trail with me. That was really exciting. From finding the trails of 3 mountain lions with drag marks of a deer carcass all the way back to where the kill happened, and then all the way forward to where the story ended, where the deer is nothing but skin and bones. And the mountain lions completely fed on this guy. Nothing left, really. The scavengers will be here tonight to finish off what's left. There's not much here except for some meat on these bones, but the scavenger will finish that off. Notice how they have removed the ribs and fed on those because they do have teeth that are perfectly capable of removing the ribs and feeding on that portion of the deer. So all that's left are a couple of leg bones, the cranium, the hard palate, the mandibles over there, and here's the 2 hind legs and a bit of the spine and the hip bones, and a bunch of fur scattered here and there. So that's the end of that story, and it is almost dark, so it's time for me to get out of here before it gets too dark. And unfortunately, I don't think I can get a trail camera on this. At this point, it's going to be too dark really soon. So if it's still here tomorrow, I may put one on it to see if I can catch some of the scavengers, but I doubt much of this is going to be left by tomorrow. So as I exit the area back towards the river bar, I am following the trail that they used. Their tracks are clearly on this trail right here. Look at the clearest one here and here, but this has all been stepped on by the mountain lions as they left the area. Probably coming down to the river to get water to drink because, you know, if they're up here for a couple of days feeding on the carcass, they're going to need a drink, and there's the river. So they came out this way after they fed, went to get a drink of water, probably then came back up there and fed some more until it was all gone. So, my best estimate on that, I'd say 24 to 48 hours. I don't know how fast they eat or how many pounds they eat each time, but they did pretty well eating a whole deer. So, deer get about 80 to 100 pounds around here. So, between 3 mountain lions, that's a lot of meat. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that was an educational and fun video. And I know it's long, but I think there's value in showing the process, how you follow a trail, how you determine what happened along that trail, and interpreting the tracks themselves, the drag marks, just the whole overall picture. And it says a lot about the animals and their behavior. And it was sort of a cooperative hunting thing. A family of 3 lions cooperatively hunting and consuming a deer. So that's kind of a fun story. Tells you something about the biology of the animals that we trail. And this is the fun part of tracking for me, is actually putting together those stories. Because, you know, you look at the brush, and how do you know what's going on in there? We don't. There's all kinds of things happening in there. Life and death happens here every single day. And in this case, for the deer, it was the end. But the mountain lions have nutrients to sustain them for another week. They kill an average about 1 mountain lion a week per lion. But so I hope you've enjoyed that, and that it was a good lesson in trailing. And there's a sunset, because it is almost dark. I hope you enjoyed. See you on the next one.